All right, switching gears now. It has been nearly 4 years since the death of Sterling Fire Captain Garrett Ramos. On December 3rd, 2021, he was part of a crew that was called to a house fire in Rock Falls. The fire started in the garage and then spread to the home. But Ramos, who had been fighting the fire from inside the house, was headed back outside to replenish his air supply when he fell through a hole in the floor into a basement firefighters didn't know existed at the time. Ramos made 2 Mayday calls, but ultimately died from asphyxia after running out of air. And 1 week ago today, a Whiteside County jury awarded his widow, Brittany, and 2 young daughters $31.5 million in a wrongful death lawsuit. Charlene Bielema and her team with Shaw Local followed the entire trial and joins us now. Charlene, thank you so much for being here with us. $31.5 million is a lot of money. Who does the Ramos family say they blame for the death?
Actually, there were 3 defendants that were named in the case. One was the former fire chief, Chris Bowens. The other one is he's the fire chief now. His name is Ken Wolf. He was deputy chief at the time. And then the third defendant named was the city of Rock Falls by extension, because that city was the employer of the 2 officials.
So what came out during the trial? What were some of the reasons they say these fire officials were to blame?
It was a very complex trial, and the fact that it wasn't just one thing that the plaintiff's attorneys were pointing to. They were saying that when Chief Bowens arrived at the scene, he was the first person there, and because also he's Rock Falls fire chief, he was to size up the building. When he did, he overlooked that there was a basement, and that was because the foundation of the house had been painted and boarded up, and so the windows had been painted over. There were some people at the scene, the family that lived in the house. They were all evacuated, and they had told him, or he didn't talk to them, was what the allegation was, and so he didn't know there was a basement. That was part of it, combined with the fact that they had said, based on a timeline that had been developed by an expert, that the firefighters had been in the house longer than they should have been. The fire was called in about 11:04 p.m. At night, and so when the firefighters arrived, Rock Falls first, then Sterling. Ramos was on the Sterling truck. They got there about 11:21. The expert said there should have been no one in that house after 11:30, and so they blamed bad fire tactics strategy also for that death. And then also talking about how when they realized that they had a fire department member, they didn't know who it was, had issued 2 Maydays at 12:03 in the morning, 2 Maydays back to back. There was problem where they thought one firefighter was missing. That firefighter was found, and there was no more accountability reports done after that. So they believe Ramos had been in the basement for more than a half hour before it was detected that he was missing. And he was in that basement for about 17 minutes, they believe, from the time he fell. He was not injured when he fell, and then he was found deceased and recovered at 1:13 a.m. in the morning.
Wow.
Just many different components to this.
Seriously, and this was a long trial too, many, many days. What was it
Yes.
like in the courtroom when the jury walked out and read their decision?
It was one of those trials that you could tell because, I mean, obviously there was no change of venue, so you have family that's close. So every day you'd see more and more people in the courtroom. By that last day, the courtroom was packed, extremely emotional in both closings and when you'd had family members who were testifying. I could see juror members that were actually crying as they were coming back in and the verdict was read. It was only 3 hours of deliberation, which I considered, 7 days of testimony over, 5 days, and then 5 days with the break with the Veterans Day that we had off with the courtroom closed. So yeah, a lot of emotion throughout that entire trial.
So now looking ahead, I mean, what does this mean for the city? Do they have to pay up this $31.5 million?
Right now, we talked to the city administrator about it, and of course, they're looking at several options. In a case like this, they could turn around and appeal that verdict. We have not seen that action yet, but obviously it's very close to the verdict actually being rendered. So talking to some experts, I understand that there could be many different options that we could see, and this could go over a very long time before we know what that final answer is.
Well, Charlene, before I let you go, is this going to be the end of the lawsuits around this trial and around Garrett Ramos's death, or do you anticipate more in the future?
I don't anticipate more in the future, but again, nothing surprises me anymore after covering courts for almost 30 years. So at this point, it looks like this part of it's closed. Now it'll be what happens next as to how Rock Falls will take care of it.
Charlene, thank you so much for your time and for your reporting. Just incredible work you and your team did. Thank you for being here with us.
Thank you very much. Thank you.
If you guys at home want to share this story, we have a link to all of Charlene's coverage up at our website, WQAD.com, underneath the As Seen on TV tab.